everyone. Good morning. So my name's Jacqueline, and I feel honored to be here with you all today. I was at TLM Mass like a few weeks ago, and I was literally in Mass, and I said, Lord, like, what do you want from me? Like, what's next? Here are my hands, my feet, my voice. Use me. And I come out of Mass, and I was asked, like, do you want to be a speaker for a conference? And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, were you praying for it? And she's like, yeah. And I said, I was literally in Mass asking the Lord, okay, yes, I'll be a speaker. She gave me the topics, and I'm like, surrender. That one, I'll do that one. And so I was like, you know what? God is so good. So I really do feel honored to be here with you all today. So I belong to St. Philomena Parish in Carson, where I am a catechist and I am a lector. And I'm also one of the core members for the new women's ministry. They're called the Women's Well. So before we get started, I'd like a show of hands if you guys have ever seen an image online where it's a little girl holding a small teddy bear and Jesus is in front of her, kind of like a father to a little girl, right? So raise your hand if you've seen that image. Okay, great. So for those of you that haven't, that image, the little girl is saying, but I love it, I want this. And Jesus is in front of her and he's saying, just trust me. And he's holding this like big teddy bear. It's like even bigger and better than the one that she's holding, but she doesn't see it, right? And I just feel like that image alone is such a powerful image of what it looks like if we surrender to God, because we don't know his plans. We don't know what he has in store for us because we're so fixated on what's in front of us, on what we have. And sometimes it could be things that we're just not meant to carry with us. And God is like, girl, I have this, just let it go, right? So I want us to take a moment of silence. So just pause for a little bit and kind of think to yourself, what is that small bear that you're holding in your life right now? What is that bear that you're holding on to that you just can't let it go? And that bear can be fear, it can be rejection, it can be loss, it can be loneliness, it can be sadness, depression, lust. It can be those sins that you just can't stop doing over and over again. So just for a moment, what is that bear you're holding on to in your life? What is disturbing your peace, your inability to see yourself as a true daughter of a king? So I'll just wait right there for a little bit so you guys can kind of think about it for a few moments. Okay, so I'd like you all to repeat after me, okay? Oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. So for those of you that don't know, there's actually a novena prayer called Surrender Novena. And I got this from the Surrender Novena because I prayed that novena. And after I prayed that novena for those 9 days, I literally felt like my soul was just lighter because I felt like my intention for that novena, I felt like I was like, okay, Lord, take it. You take it. I'm done. And I'm like, okay, he's got it. He's going to take care of it. He's going to handle it. So after this, you guys can look it up on praymorenovenas.com. You'll find, that's where I find all my novenas. And pray it. It'll email it to you every single day, day 1, day 2, day 3. So when you wake up at 5 in the morning, your prayer's already there. So whatever you have in your heart, whatever you want to surrender to the Lord, after you pray that novena, you really feel like you're going to get your answer after that. So I want you guys now to really close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting on a bench in a beautiful garden. It's peaceful, and you're holding on to that small teddy bear in your life. But Jesus is sitting next to you. So you set that teddy bear aside next to you, and you start to pour your heart out to him. You tell him exactly how you feel, and he tells you these words. You are sleepless, and you want to judge everything, direct everything, and see to everything, and you surrender to human strength, or worse, to mend themselves, trusting in their intervention. But this is what hinders my words and my views. Oh, how much I wish from you this surrender to help you, and how I suffer when I see you so agitated. Satan tries to do exactly this, to agitate you and to remove you from my protection and to throw you into the jaws of human initiative. So trust only in me, rest in me, surrender to me in everything. And then he hugs you and you say to him, oh, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. Take care of everything. And that small teddy bear that you're holding on to, you're ready to let it go. And you're ready to receive what he has for you. The fears, the doubts, the disappointments, the emptiness, the sadness, it's all gone. You emptied yourself of everything so that Jesus can fill it with his love, his mercy, and all he has in store for you. That's what surrender feels like. You can open your eyes now. So I was always afraid of surrendering to God because I didn't know what that was going to look like. When you think of surrender, I always felt like kind of like a negative meaning to it, like giving up and like quitting and like you're just not in control anymore, right? And I kind of had that mentality of like, well, I want what I want and, no one knows me better than myself. And so it just felt scary to me. But in Proverbs, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. So my life before surrendering to the Lord was really messy and I had no direction. I a cradle Catholic. So if you don't know what a cradle Catholic is, you were baptized, you did your first communion, your confirmation, right? Like you were in the faith because your parents, had you in the faith. But as a teenager, I strayed away from the faith. And, you're a teenager, so you kind of like don't really care about going to church, or you go to church kind of just to cross that off because your mom and dad take you to church. I became a teen mom at 17. And I remember like my original plan was to go to college far away, to not be at home because my parents were so strict. And I remember when I found out I was pregnant, I already did not want to be with the dad anymore. And so I had an appointment to have an abortion. And I just thought like, okay, no one's gonna find out, I need to get rid of this and, go back to normal, right? And it was my senior year and I was like, man, I'm not gonna go to prom, I'm not gonna do all the fun things that seniors do. And you just thought like the worst, like I'm gonna get kicked out, or I'm gonna be forced to marry him, like back in the days, like you're stuck with him. So that day I had to pretend I was sick so I could stay home so that my friend can pick me up and take me to the abortion clinic. And I remember as I was waiting for her, I was scared because like morally, like I knew that was wrong. I knew that's not okay. So as I'm in the living room, I'm crying, my friend's on her way, and I call her and I'm like, you know what? I'm scared, but prior to that, I had cried and there was a crucifix. And I looked up and I was like, I'm scared, like what do I do? I could either go right now, get it done, and then go back to school tomorrow, like nothing happened, my parents will never find out, like everything's back to normal. And so I felt like these flashbacks of like my grandparents, praying the rosary, growing in the faith, and it was like a voice telling me like, how can you do that when your family's so Catholic? When your abuelitos are so Catholic, how can you go and do that and be like nothing after? It was like a flip switched in my mind and I was like, oh my gosh, like my mama bear claws came out and I was like, oh no, I gotta have this baby. Like, I don't care if I get kicked out anymore. I don't care if I don't go to college. Like, it is what it is. Like, I just can't go do that. And I had watched videos of what it looks like, what an abortion process is like, and it scared me. And I was like, oh no, I can't do that. Like I have PE the next day. Like I can't go do that and be like nothing, right? So I call her and I said, you know what? Don't come anymore. And she's like, are you sure? I'm on my way. Jackie, you're going to get kicked out. Your mom and dad are so strict. Like, you're going to get in trouble. They're not going to let you go to prom. And just all these things. And I was like, it's okay. I can do it. I'm going to have this baby. Like, oh, well, it is what it is. I ended up going, through the pregnancy. And I remember I thought, okay, well, I'm an only girl. I don't have sisters. I hope it's a girl, like I want a little girl. And prior to this, I've never held a baby before to top it off. Like I was like a dumb kid having a kid. So the day that I found out it was a boy, I cried tears of disappointment. I was so mad. I was like, why? I was like, are you sure? And the doctor's like, it's a boy. I got out and I was crying, and I don't know why I called my dad, and I was like, "Apá, va a ser un niño," and he was like, "Hija, por algo Dios te mandó un niño," and I was like, "No, but I wanted a girl," and I hung up, and I was just disappointed. I was just annoyed. That whole pregnancy, always fighting with the dad. It was such a toxic relationship as well, and so the day that I had him, 3 days before that, I didn't feel him move. And again, mind you, I'm 17 and I'm just like, well, he's big, like there's no space for him to move, because he would move every night. I would stay up at night. And we're getting ready for Mass that Sunday. And I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, the baby hasn't moved in 3 days. And she was like, not even like a kick? And I was like, no. And I was like, she's like, and why are you barely saying this right now? And I'm like, well, there's no space. Like, he's big. Like, where's he? I'm just so dumb. I'm like, well, where's he going to move? And he's, I'm about to have this baby. And my dad just went off on me in Spanish. And my dad's like, llévala al hospital. So then we go to the hospital. And it turns out I was losing my liquid. It was gone. The cord was stuck around his neck. So then I thought, oh my gosh, like if I didn't kill him, like when I found out, like this was gonna kill him if I didn't say anything. I'm over here thinking like it's normal, right? So then I go on, I have him. I just fell into like postpartum depression. It was the worst. I still continued going to college full time. So it was hard being like a teen mom and going to college and having a baby. And he would cry and I would cry. And it was frustrating. Like I felt like I had to grow up. And so that relationship ended when he was 5 years old. I gave him back the ring. It just didn't work out. It was so toxic. But I felt like, well, I have to stay with him because, like my parents are together, his parents are together. Like it's not fair that we're just going to split and not give our son, like the two parents together. We ended up splitting. And I remember just feeling like, wow, like I'm not loved, like I'm not worthy. And this was already like my mid-20s. So I entered my wild 20s now, right? And every weekend when he was with his dad, I was out partying with my friends because, they didn't have kids. So I guess I got to enjoy my 20s, like the wild life. And then I get pregnant again. He did not want the baby. And he was like, if you want to have an abortion, I support that. And I was like, well, if I didn't do it at 17, how am I going to do it in my mid-20s? Like, I can't abort this baby. So we ended up co-parenting. I ended up keeping her. And at that point, I felt like the biggest failure ever. And I'm like, man, I'm like stuck with 2 kids. I'm not married. I have like 2 baby daddies. I just felt like a mess, right? And that right there, I felt like, this is it. My life is worthless. All my friends at this point are married, have their good husbands. They have their kids. They have their life together. And I'm like, here I am, like a single mom again. And when I got pregnant that second time, everyone was like, well, who's the dad? And my mom's like, ¿te embarazaste del Espíritu Santo? ¿Qué? Like, it was just so embarrassing, right? It was so embarrassing. And so I just felt like shame. I felt so much shame. And I would cry every night. When I would go to work, because I was a teacher, I would take my daughter to work with me. On the freeway, I'm like, God, I just don't want to live anymore. Can I just get into a bad car accident? Like, I don't care what happens to her. She'll be fine if she lives. Like, I don't want to live anymore. My son's going to be fine. He has his dad. Those grandparents will take care of him. I don't want to live. And I would wake up and I would literally start crying just because I woke up. And I look at the crucifix I had over my bed and I'm like, why? Why did you wake me up? And when you're like going through your depression, I was very good at hiding it very well just because I'm very like bubbly and outgoing that no one had a clue. And I remember when my friends would call me like, Jackie, I'm going through XYZ. And in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, if only they knew that I'm barely hanging on by a thread. Like, if only they knew that I don't even want to be here. But here I am trying to be a good friend. But I felt like during the day, you put on a mask. And then at night, when everyone would go to sleep, you take off your mask and you can just like breathe, like cry, and like cry myself. Crying myself to sleep felt like comforting to me. But I was so mad at God because, we tend to blame God like it's your fault, like I hate my life and it's all your fault, like as if he made the choices for me. So when my daughter was 2, this was already right before COVID, I was like, okay, Lord, I tried everything. It's not working. I was always dyeing my hair different colors, spending so much on extensions and all the outside, like to look nice on the outside to cover up what I was feeling on the inside so no one had a clue. And I just got tired. I got drained. I was like, there has to be more to life than this. So I told God one day, I'm going to start going to Mass every Sunday, because my mom's like, es que no vas a misa, por eso estás así. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start going to Mass. So I told the Lord, I will go to Mass every Sunday if you start taking this depression away. So little by little, after I surrendered to the Lord and I said, Lord, take over. Like, I have 2 kids now. Like, I struggled with my son through elementary and middle school. Like, he had bad grades. And I just thought, like, oh my gosh, like I'm here. Like, it was a struggle. It was just so draining as a mom, like having to deal with how you're feeling inside, sad and depressed, and just waiting for everyone to go to sleep so I can cry so your kids don't see you crying. And he was, it was already going to be his year before high school. And I was like, Andrew, like, what's your plan? Like, he's like, I don't know. I don't want to go to college. And I said, well, if your dad and I were able to go to college and get our degrees while being teen parents, he had to give up college football to work, to pay for diapers and milk. I went to school. I had to take you to class with me. There's really no excuse for you not to go to college, but whatever. And he's like, I just want to go to the military and be a police after. So I said, okay. I got him into MMA, jiu-jitsu, all that. He was in wrestling in high school. And then I was like, well, at least you're going to do something after high school, right? Well, he gets hurt. He's already in high school, and he gets hurt. So during that time that he couldn't move because he was hurt during wrestling, he went to his dad's that weekend, and he was with his grandma, and he starts watching The Passion of Christ, because it came on, because there was like nothing else for him to do. So I remember he calls me. It was a Saturday night. He calls me out of nowhere. And I'm like, ay, este quiere algo. So I'm like, yes, Andrew, what happened? He's like, Mom, if Jesus died for us, why don't people change? And I think I was probably at the store, and I was like, I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I just saw The Passion of Christ right now. And I said, oh. And I even said, why? And he's like, I don't know. It just came on. It was the only thing on. All the other movies on that channel, whatever, they were halfway, and this one was just about to start. So I just clicked on it and I watched it. So if Jesus really died, how come we don't change? And I was like, well, we have free will. I don't know. Like, he's like, okay. All right, Mom, I'll see you tomorrow when I get dropped off. I'm like, okay, bye. And it just threw me by surprise. That was his conversion right there. He one day said, Mom, I think I don't want to be a police officer anymore. I want to be a priest. And I was like, really? Why? And he said, I don't know. I'm just drawn to it. He just dived right into the faith. We had a brand new seminarian that was, I guess he joined after high school too, so he was young. He started guiding my son, told him all the books to read that he would read in seminary. Mom, can you buy me these books? I bought him a lot of theology books that I've never heard of. He read them all. He se encerraba in his room, and he would just started praying the rosary, started learning the Latin prayers, like just everything. That I'm just like, who are you? And then, I'd be scrolling, Mom, get off Instagram, go pray. And I'm like, leave me alone. But I'm like, wow, you did a whole 360, right? And this was already like a few years ago. And so during that time, mind you, I was still a single mom. I would date, I would go on dates. And I think that once you grow in your faith, your dating pool gets smaller and smaller. Because you don't just want to bring cualquiera with you because you're like, man, this one doesn't even go to Mass. Like, he's going to bring me down. Every time I'd go on a date, I would pray my rosary on the way to that date, and I would say, Lord, if this man is not my husband, if this is not my St. Joseph, just give me some red flags. And sure enough, after that, I'm like, this is not it. You just don't feel it. I'm like, this man is not it. And you learn to ask the right questions. How's your faith? But right away, when I was on all these dating apps too, it was garbage. But right away, I would be like, oh, I see that you're Catholic on your page. What church do you go to? Right there, you get them, right? For those of you that are single, what church do you go to? Because I saw that you put Catholic on your page. Oh, I haven't been to church in a while. I'll remove. You're not it. You seriously don't care about your soul. So dating was hard as a single mom. And I would pray. I prayed so many novenas, St. Anne, St. Joseph, the Surrender Novena. And as my son started growing in his faith, he's like, Mom, I've been praying to God and telling him to find you someone. So when I leave, you and Isabella, my daughter, she's 8, will not be alone. Because Isabella would be like, Andrew, when you leave, I don't want to go to Target at night. It's just crazy people, and I get scared, and Mommy can't defend me. And I'm like, we'll be fine. We'll come in the daytime. We'll be fine, you know? And my son's like, I worry, Mom. I just feel like I've been praying to God for that. So the years went by, and my son grew more and more in his faith. My daughter started veiling to Mass, too, because of my son. So the 3 of us started growing after I surrendered to God, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I felt like he had to change me as a mom, as a woman, to change my son, because I feel like if I didn't surrender and I didn't give him that yes, had my son told me in my life before Christ, that's what I call it, my life before Christ, had my son told me, Mom, I want to be a priest, I think I would have discouraged him. I think I would have been like, why? You can't even have kids. Like, why? That's boring. Like, you're going to have a boring life, you know, because that's how you see it when you're in the worldly life. So now I would help him, like, Mom, let's go to adoration. Let's go pray. Let's take me to St. Michael's Abbey. Let's go to Latin Mass. And I'm like, what is Latin Mass? I was so lost. Like, what is this? All the kneeling and standing. And it was just tiring. And he guided me. He ended up guiding me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, well, this is your plan. I did say, Lord, I surrender my children. Mother Mary, help me. Like, as a single mom, I'm like, okay, I don't have a husband. Help me. Like, the 2 dads are lost. They don't care. They don't take them to church. But it's my job as a mom, because I listened to a priest that said, as a woman, when you're a mom and you're given that gift of motherhood, God is going to ask you, what did you do with the children I gave you? What did you do with the gifts I gave you? So to me, it was a big deal. Like, I'm like, man, like, I'm in this by myself. It's my job as a mom, as a single mom. So as time went by, and one day my daughter goes, literally last year, like in September, Mom, when are you getting married? And I said, Chabelita, I don't know, maybe never. It's just going to be me and you. And she said, no, but I want at least one of my parents married. And I said, well, let's just pray your dad finds a good woman one day. And she said, no, I don't see my dad getting married. And I said, but why do you want me to get married? And she said, so you're not by yourself, because one day I'm going to grow up. She goes, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to get married and have kids. And I don't want to leave you by yourself. And I said, it's okay. I said, you're going to have children. I'm going to take care of my grandchildren. She goes, no, Mom, you need someone. So that happened last year in September. I started praying the Infant Jesus Novena in December, right? It ends on Christmas Day, I think. So the next day, I met my fiance at the gym. He asked me for my number, and I just thought, no, and I said, Diosito, this is too good to be true. I literally just ended my novena after praying years of novenas. I'm like, no, this is not true, because I asked him, oh, are you Catholic? Yeah, I did my sacraments. And I said, oh, okay. And he said, but I never did my confirmation. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know. I just never did. And I said, so do you go to church? And he said, well, when I told him the church I go to, he said, well, I drop off my parents. They're old already, at St. Philomena. And I said, well, why do you drop them off? Where do you go? And he said, oh, I don't know. I just go to the gym, or I go to Calvary. When he said Calvary, I said, what are you doing at a fake church? I'm sorry. There's no Eucharist there. There's no Jesus there. What are you doing there? And he was like, wow. Like, he's like, okay, Mom. And I go, I'm serious. And I thought to myself, okay, Lord, this is not him. And I was like, what are you doing there? Does your mom tell you anything? You drop her off and you go over there? And I was like, I'm sorry, that's a bootleg church. And he was like, oh, wow, I've never heard that. And I said, well, I'm telling you. And at that point, I was already strong in my faith. And I said, you know what? I don't care. I'm Catholic in the one true church. If I never see this man again, we'll just say hi and bye. That's fine. Well, that drew him more to me, because he started looking for me at the gym. And then our second talk, he said, hey, I have a question. Does a guy have to be super holy to pursue you? And I said, no, but at least go to Catholic church. I said, you have no business over there. You're Catholic, you're baptized. He said, well, I just have to do my confirmation. Where can I go? And I said, to the church. You drop off your parents at St. Philomena, go sign up. And he goes, okay. Well, he went and signed up literally like a month after that to do his confirmation, started, lo mandé a confesión. I'm like, you need to go confess. So he confessed with one of my priest besties. I call him Father Tommy. And that confession, he sat in front of the priest. You know how you can go like behind the wall? Well, I guess he sat in front of Father Tommy and they had like a conversation, and Father Tommy invited him to the men's ministry. And I remember that day I went to confess to, he got out and said, well, it was good. I sat in front of the priest and I said, why? Why'd you do that? And he said, I don't know. I just sat there and I thought, oh, it's too late to get up and go back. He goes, he saw me already. And he said, but it was good. He invited me Saturday to the men's ministry. This was already January because I met him right after Christmas. This was January. And he just fell in love with confession. He started doing his process. And I thought, he's going to drop out. He's just doing it to get me, right? And I was like, and I told him, sorry, I just can't give you my yes, because I always prayed for a man that loved his faith, that loved his soul. And you're just like, I don't know. And I said, and my son's going to be a priest. Like, I just don't know. I need someone that's strong, right? That's going to lead me. Well, the day he ends up doing his confirmation, he ended up proposing to me. Only my son knew about it. My son gave me the okay. The priest gave me the okay. And so it was just so beautiful surrendering to God, because I think as a single woman, you have your checklist of what you want your man to look like, what he needs to be, everything he needs to have. So when I would go on dates, I'm like, oh, he has everything but Jesus. He has the career, he has the height, he has everything, but he doesn't have the faith. He doesn't have Jesus. He doesn't care about his soul. And then this one over here had everything, but he was already yearning for more. And I said, okay, we'll keep up. And I said, look, I'm not going to be your mom in the faith. If I'm not doing it with my own kids, I'm not doing it with someone's grown son. Así le dije. And he said, okay. So we're both, we were engaged, and I'm so happy. And even to this day, I just feel like, Lord, I literally why couldn't I surrender before? Like, if I knew it was going to be like this. But the Lord has his time in everything. When you surrender to him, it's so beautiful. And looking back now, I just feel like it's such an easy thing to surrender to the Lord. But for many of us, it's so hard to take that leap of faith, because I think we're just so stuck in like our mess, and we're so used to it. Just how I was so used to crying all the time that I'm like, oh man, I'm in bed and I'm not crying. I need to cry. I need to cry about something, because I got so used to crying all the time. And with the Lord, through that process of like healing and just surrendering, surrender is not a one-time thing and you're done. Surrender is an everyday thing. Every single day when you wake up, you get on your knees and you say, Lord, I surrender this day to you. I surrender everything you have coming my way. I have you with me. I got this. I got this because you're with me. It's giving him that access to you. You're literally letting go of that teddy bear and saying, okay, God, I'm ready to receive what you have for me. And he will surprise you. And he will put you in places that you never had any clue before. Like, I think my life before Christ, if someone were to tell me, like, your son's going to be a priest, you're going to be talking in front of people, you're going to be a catechist, you're going to be a lecturer in mass, I'd be like, oh, no, that's like for viejitas, because I would think, oh, when I'm old, I'll change my life when I'm old, right? I'm like, that's for old ladies, no. But God has so much in store for you, ladies, and it's until you surrender everything, even those like messy parts of you, surrender it all, let it go, and trust me, God is going to surprise you. Your life is going to be so much better once you say yes to the Lord. All that messiness in you, all those broken parts of you, God will put them together, and you will look back and you're going to be like, wow, like, why didn't I do this sooner? Wow, God, you're so good. You are so good. And you go through life not with like a different mindset. Like, you're not scared anymore. Like, you can walk into any room now, any space, like Jesus sent you there. You don't care if your biggest enemy can be there. Like, I don't care. I'm here. I'm a daughter of a king. Jesus loves me. He gives you that confidence, and you just feel good. You walk everywhere with your head held high, and it's such a beautiful feeling. And in your life before Christ, I feel like I would go to church, and I would sit in the back because I was embarrassed to go in the front. I was ashamed to go in the front. And now, stood all the way in the front with my veil on, with my head held high. You don't care who's looking at you. You don't care who's around you. You are reminded, I'm here for you, Jesus, not for everyone else. Use me, guide me. Here are my hands, my feet, my voice, and God will do wonders in your life. And maybe because of you, if you surrender whatever you need to let go of, you'll see God transform you. You'll see God change you. You might inspire your little ones in your family to become a priest one day, to become a nun. You might pour that faith into your family. We do need more vocations. We need more young men in the faith. Our church is crying out for help. If you say yes and you surrender to the Lord, you might be that change that everyone around you might need. But I feel like God had to work on me first. I had to surrender first and say yes to God for those around me to change. And I just feel like that right there is so beautiful. And I want to end with this also. It's a small prayer from the day 8 Surrender Novena. It says, close your eyes and let yourself be carried away on the flowing current of my grace. Close your eyes and do not think of the present, turning your thoughts away from the future, just as you would from temptation. Repose in me, believing in my goodness. And I promise you, by my love, that if you say, you take care of it, I will take care of it all. I will console you, liberate you, and guide you. And I think that's so beautiful. Thank you so much.